Hey, welcome back to Outer Spaces. Today we have Cornell Mack on the show, and he owns Mack Landscape and Lawn Care out in Western Pennsylvania. This guy is going to drop nuggets left and right on this podcast. This man just opens his heart. He talks about being joyful and grateful and just how he's done it in his life, going from working 2 jobs and never being home to now living his passion and his dream in lawn care and just helping humans. It's profound. So you guys queue up, listen all the way to the end. It's just such a powerful story, and I hope you get a lot from it just as much as I did. Hello, and welcome to Outer Spaces, a podcast dedicated to empowering designers and contractors in the outdoor living space. Through this show, I hope to create a powerful resource for you, someone who is trying to grow their company but might not have all the tools and processes to do so. On Outer Spaces, we're passionate about breaking the chains of small mindsets and helping contractors just like you take control of their businesses and their lives. My name is Joshua Gillow, and through my 25 years of dirt under the nails experience, I look forward to sharing tips, strategies, and other contractor success stories here on the Outer Spaces podcast. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. It's your host, Joshua Gillow. And this episode is sponsored by Yes Express, where we help landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living pros double their sales in half the time. If you're curious, reach out. hello@yes.express. So today, we have a special guest on. I say that all the time, but this guy here, I was watching a lot of his material. He produces a lot of content. He's got a heck of a good story. And man, I can relate a lot to this guy's story. So I want to bring him on and have him share with us where he's come from and where he's going. So his name is Cornell Mack, and he owns Mack Landscape and Lawn Care out in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, opposite side from me. So he's West Pennsylvania, I'm East Pennsylvania, and he started that back in 2016. So Cornell, welcome to the show.
Hey man, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, brother. I can't wait to unpack your story for the audience and have them hear about where you've come from, where you're going, and what keeps you grinding, brother. I love it. So why don't you start out with a little bit of background, where you come from, give us the 30,000 foot out view, and we'll just dive right in.
So I got into the business in 2016. I didn't have any background in business or landscaping or anything. Aside from cutting my grandmother's grass, doing her shrubs and everything whenever I was a kid. And then I got a regular job. At one point, I was working 2 full-time jobs and just was like wondering where my life was going to go. And I stumbled upon a Keith Kalfas video, watched that, went over this stuff in my head. Like he was showing the prices. So it was the first time that I had ever seen anyone who was giving out like, this is how you can make money within any type of business. And lawn care was the first type of business that I seen. And I had a kind of, I would say, similar story to Keith. So when he was talking, I could just like feel what he was saying. And then, his whole thing was like the employee trap. You have a job, you can leave your job because you can make money. And here's how. He went over this video, and it was 2 or 3 minutes long. It said all of the prices, $245 and 45 minutes was the thing I heard. And my head like exploded whenever I heard that. So for the next 2 weeks, I was just watching Keith, and then I found Brian, and then the Spencers, and then all of those, the big influencers, all the people know now. And I was just watching all of their videos, and I just, I wanted to be a sports athlete like that. Like most young kids from where I came from, I wanted to be a sports athlete. When that didn't happen, I just didn't know what to do. But when I seen these people, I was like, yo, these are regular people. None of them are like 8 feet tall, none of them are linebackers size in the NFL or a cornerback or a quarterback or nothing like that. They're just regular people, and they own things, and they're doing things they love, and they're showing it. And I was like, yo, if they can do this, I can do this too. So after those 2 weeks, I was just on a double shift, a 16-hour shift, and I was making $13 an hour at my second full-time job. And I just did the math in my head, and I was like, after taxes, I'm going to be like $125 for the day for 16 hours of my life. Yeah. And this Keith Kalfas dude, who's the same size as me in Michigan, is about to do $245 in 45 minutes. And I just was like, one day, I think we had a bunch of, right? It was crazy. It was crazy. So I worked at a group home, and my my client at the time was a bigger gentleman. And I think we might have had some restraints that day. And I was just like, man, as much as I love my job and it's fulfilling most days, there's those days where it's like, oh man, this sucks. You know what I mean? You go home upset that, your client, for whatever reason, he was upset that day, or, who knows what was going on in his head. But I just came home and I was like, my kids was asleep when I left, and they're asleep now. My wife is tired, and I just got pissed off. So the next day I said to my wife, I think I want to start a grass cutting business. That's what I called it, a grass cutting business. I was going to be chucking the truck, as they say. Mm-hmm. And to my wife's credit, she has a uncle who was in the landscape business in the Uniontown area called Laurel Highlands Nursery. It's we call him Uncle John, and the kids call him Dodo. So he's amazing. But he had a landscape business for 42 years. Wow. When I go to his house, him and his wife is the epitome of what I want my life to be like whenever I, reach the later years in life, God willing. And they just do things charitable, man. For the kids, he just does anything. Big Christmas party. I mean, he pays for everything. And I wanted to have that feeling in my life. So combine seeing him do it in my own family, and he's not my uncle, he's my wife's uncle. So I kind of married into being able to experience him. Now you mix that with Keith's story and showing how to actually make the money. I was like, I could do this too, Yeah. And so that's how I got into it, 2016. And
you found a path, right?
Right. It was just like,
forward.
This is the vehicle, and it might not be a Corvette or a Lamborghini right now. It could be a rented, a piece of crap that you get for $1,000, but it's going to get me somewhere. And that's what it started as, like a piece of crap, like, regular push mower, piece of crap truck, and a dream and a desire. That's how I kind of got into it.
Love it. So take me back to when you realized, when you see I guess it was your father-in-law, right? So your father-in-law, when you're talking to him and you see what he's achieved in his life. Take me back to what that moment felt like for you when you finally felt like, I need to find some way to make this possible for me. Like, why was that success? How did you gauge that at that point?
Success to me isn't money. And it wasn't that they have a lot of money, and maybe they do, I don't know. But it was how they lived. Like, if every time I came up there, Aunt Charlotte, she would have a different couch, like a new couch, I mean, it'd be like, we might see them one month, and then the next month, the whole living room was different, and there was a new furniture. And then what would she do with that new furniture is give it to other people within the family. Yeah. And I just thought to myself, if I could do that, if I could make enough money to give people things that help inspire them, starting with my own family, that would be one of the greatest things ever. And I seen them doing that. And that was always in my heart anyway. Like, when I'm a big brother, what I'm saying? And I'm the oldest in my family, and I was raised by a single mom. So how to learn how to make sacrifices early in life. What I mean? Like, you got to get up, you got to help mom get the kids ready. You got to be their protector. I kind of became a de facto dad, so to speak. And I was only 6 years older than my brother, 9 years older than my sister. So I was learning how to become, a man and a father at a young age. And, so seeing that type of stuff, it was like, that's what dads do. Like, that's the ultimate thing for a dad, is to treat the people who are around them, and show them, like, this is how you could be. And it don't have to be a millionaire. It could just be someone who's living a great free life. Yeah.
Sounds like that's a big life goal. And, what will it feel like when you get to that point when you can do exactly what your family has done with being able to give furniture away? Like, how will that feel for you?
I feel like probably like heaven on earth, man. Like, and when you go to heaven, I just can imagine what it's probably like up there, where everything is available to you. Everyone has an imagination, because there's no stress up there, because you've already done all of the things that you needed to do in the regular life. And now it's up here to paradise. And that's what I want to live on earth. I think that's what the ultimate goal is. I think that's why God created us, is so that we can shed our light to the world. But sometimes in life, circumstances and situations changes your mentality. You lose your imagination, and then that light sort of dims. I say all the time to people, it's like garbage. As you grow up, when you turn about 7 or 8 years old, you start to realize how am I living? Am I poor? Is my parents this or that? And you start to become consciously aware. And then people start to say things to you and they put their limitations on you. And then you start to internalize that. And before you know it, the imagination that you had when you was 7, when you seen Superman and you thought you could fly, goes away, and you realize I got to get a job and I got to pay the bills. And this is what life is like, because this is what my mom's life was like, or my dad's life, or my grandparents' life. Yeah. You never have the imagination to think that you could change it. You know what I mean? And whenever I found this stuff, I realized like all of the stuff that was in my imagination when I was a kid is still deep down inside of me. I just had to get the stress of life off of me. And a lot of that has to do with paying your bills and everything. So as I learned the business and, you know, got better at doing some of the back end things, we started to make a little bit more money, and then I could start to get on those things that had been neglected, bills and everything. And then once that happened, boom, the imagination's here again. And now I can see what the future is. And I want to give that feeling to the world. Like I said, that's what God gave us. He put us here for us to shed our light to the world.
I love that. I love it. So true. And he gave every one of us a unique fingerprint, right? Every single one of us. So you don't have to wait till you have 1 million followers. You don't have to wait till you have that big house or whatever. You can start giving from your heart every single day, just by the spoken word, like through this podcast. Something you're saying right now, you know, Cornell, is going to shift something in somebody. And when it shifts, they're going to say, wait a minute here. If Cornell can do it, so can I, just like you did with the guy you watched. You know what I mean? And the next thing you know, so it's all just within sharing. And I love that you're vulnerable enough to just come up and say that. And so I want to ask you then, when you get to that point, when you, not if, but when you get to that point where you can just be like, hey, I'm just going to take this room and just give it away to somebody, you know, have you decided what that looks like as far as what you'll have and what you'll give? Or do you have like that vision in your mind at this point?
Well, eventually my wife and I, we would like to get into real estate and start to, you know, renovate houses. And, you know, one day I just want to be able to hear a story of a family who needs a house and just give it to them. So, I mean, I don't know how long that would take. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know, you know, where that would be in the future, but I think that would be great, is to give someone some place that they can call home. I was in a lot of different, we moved around a lot. I was in 9 different schools before I made it to high school, before I got to high school. So I don't have any like childhood friends from kindergarten or anything like that, because we was bouncing all over the place. My mom was trying to make ends meet, single mom, 3 kids. So, but now for my children, there's a quote I heard from this guy named George Bernard Shaw. And he says, the people in this world, they look around for the circumstances that they want. And if they can't find them, they create them. So whenever I was a kid, it was painful to go to a school, finally get over the hurdle of being a new kid and not knowing anybody, not knowing how to get to your classes and everything. And then boom, as soon as you start to feel some semblance of comfort, you move to the next school and you got to do all of that over again. So as a kid, I realized like that instability was a major factor on how I was seeing the world as a young adult. For my kids, I didn't want that for them. So by the time my kids were old enough to go to school, I made sure, my wife and I, we made sure that we were in a school district that we liked. You know what I mean? We made sure that we had a house so that they had somewhere that was here. And now my kids have daycare friends that they grew up with. They have kindergarten friends. And I have an 11-year-old daughter, and she has friends that she's been friends with since daycare. And that was something that I dreamed that I would have. It's just, you know, mom, dad at home, you come home, you eat dinner together. Sometimes you go to the movies, that type of life. I didn't need to make it to the NBA or the NFL or play any sport. That became what my goal in life was, is to have a family. And I have that now. And so now that I have that, and I have that stability for my own self, and I've reached that dream and that goal that I had for my life, it's now time to help other people get that same feeling, man. They need to be biting at that good steak as well.
I love that.
That's kind of how I look at it. Yeah.
So you say that good feeling. Take me into that good feeling. Like, what does it feel like to finally have what you've wanted your whole life?
Joy. The joy that you wake up with when you know Santa Claus left presents for you under the tree when you were 4 or 5 years old. The joy that you feel when you wake up to do something that you love. If you wake up in the morning, like for me, I play flag football still. I still do athletic things to this day. When I have a flag football game on Sunday morning, I can't sleep the night before. I'm up early. I've got my uniform on early, and I'm ready to go because it's something I truly love to do. And with this business, it's the same thing. And that's the feeling I want to have in life. You know what I mean? And so that's what it feels like, just absolute pure joy.
Man, I love it, man. I knew there's a reason why we lined up for this podcast, because that's just such a big part of life, is to be grateful for everything, the small things, especially to find joy every single morning, and to be ready to accept whatever is coming your way and be able to grow to be the person that can then achieve what that will take you to the next step. So I love that. Now, what I did notice when I was watching your content is that you have this deep grit, this never give up personality. Like, you will go into the fire and fight it out. I'd love to know where you get that from. I think I have a hunch, but I'd love to hear it from you.
A lot of it has to do with just, how I grew up, and then you mix that with sports. And when you get on the basketball court, like how I grew up poor, not through, my mom she was trying her best, but she just didn't have a lot of support. So I grew up poor, and I might not have had the best of things, but when we step on that basketball court, we're all equal. And it doesn't matter if you got a better pair of shoes than me, or, your dad is up in the stands or not. When we get on that basketball court, we're equal, and everybody will know who's the best. And when I get out there with you, I'm going to try and absolutely destroy you, because I don't know what's going to happen whenever I get home. I don't know, my mom's out here working 3 jobs, and I got to go help my mom, my brother, and my sister. And this is the place where I get peace. I don't got to worry about the stresses of that. And that stuff started when I was like 12, leaving basketball practice to go pick up my brother and sister. So while I'm here, I'm going to kill you. That's just the mentality. And I don't mean that in a negative light. I just mean, like, what I want and what I desire was to be recognized for something. And sports was the first time, like, it didn't matter what clothes you wore. If I could go in and score 55 points, everyone would want to talk to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was a way of breaking the ice at new schools. I would go there and I'd be like, all right, just wait till recess. No one's going to talk to me. But as soon as we get to recess, I'm going to dominate everyone on the basketball court, on the football field, on the baseball field, in everything that I do. And then I found out about Michael Jordan, and I started to watch Michael Jordan, and you could see everything. Like, he was the greatest. I mean, he had videos and all of these things. And that's what my imagination was like. I could be like, I'm good at basketball. I could be like him. And I started to just try to mimic, what he did. And then you see videos of his mentality, how he's up practicing, you know what I mean? And then, later on, Kobe Bryant kind of took over that same mantle, and I just kind of followed athletes. And I didn't have a lot of people to talk to in business or anything. So I started to look at who's the best athletes and what do they do? They have a fire, they have a passion, they have a desire. And also, they're living their dreams. I seen that on a movie once called Up in the Air. They asked the guy, when did they first pay you to give up on your dreams? Or how much did they first pay you? And the guy says like $27,000. And he says, when were you going to stop and do what you love? But the question he initially asked the guy was, why do kids like athletes? And the guy says, I don't know, because they screw lingerie models. And George Clooney says, no, that's why we like athletes. Kids like athletes because they follow their dreams. And it hit me like, wow, that's what I'm doing. Now I am a professional in what I'm doing. I might not be a professional athlete, but I am a professional, and I can take it serious just like those professional athletes do. I can get my behind up in the morning. I can study. I can watch the game tapes of all of these people who are giving out this free information. I can listen to speeches from the greatest people who have ever spoken in the world through the internet. I can get all of the information, and most of it is out here for free. And once I did it, I started to implement these things the same way I did when, you want to get yourself in shape in basketball. You start with running suicides and running laps and getting your lung capacity better, getting your cardio better. And once you do that, then you step out, you use the basketball now. And before you know it, you've done all of these small little things that lead you to being a good basketball player. That's what Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, all of these different athletes, is small fundamentals over a long period of time that leads to ultimate success. And that's the same thing in any business across the board, whether it's lawn care like I do, or, being a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. It's all the same, small little systems over a long period of time. And then boom, you're successful. So that's kind of the path I've been trying to do, is just keep doing small little things and getting better and better and better. Before you know it,
yep,
I won't be doing layups. I'll be shooting 3-pointers from half court like Steph Curry.
That's right, brother. It's coming quick too. Because you know what? It's
sure.
those invisible things that you do. It's that grind you mentioned each day, going out there and throwing in and being like, you know what? Consistency over everything. But when you mix consistency with a level of intensity that most can't even stomach, you'll get success a lot faster. But you've got to be willing to give it all up for it. You got to be willing to, just like on the court, you got to be like, I'm going to go for that big shot. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. It's the same in business. You got to bet on you. And the only way you can do that is by building confidence within inside you, knowing that you'll never stop. And I know you already have that, which is huge. But so take me back to a time where, in business, you're getting started out, you've never been in business before. How did that whole startup part, because there's a lot of uncertainty that comes with starting a business. When you don't get a rule book of exactly how to market, how to sell, how you should price your projects, how you should do all of these things, you start out and you figure it out. The only thing the IRS helps you with is paying taxes. So take me through those first few weeks and how you built the muscle, if you will, the courage to go out there and tell your wife that I'm going to dump two jobs that are paying the bills and I'm going to go after a dream. Take me back.
So I didn't immediately dump both the jobs. I continued to work the 2 full-time jobs for the first 2 years. And I was only mowing on Saturday all alone by myself with, the worst of the worst equipment and driving all over Pittsburgh. I mean, all over the place. I was leaving one job and driving an hour to do another job for $35. And I didn't realize, I just didn't know what I didn't know yet. So the first couple years, I wouldn't say it was rough because I just didn't know that I was making mistakes. I would leave my house in the morning at 7 a.m. I would get home at 7 a.m. and I would have $250 in my pocket. And I was like, babe, you want to go to Texas Roadhouse tonight? I was like, I just didn't know, I didn't realize that that I need to be getting paid from the time I leave my house until the time I come home. So I didn't realize. And so I'm out for 12 hours. I come home with 300 or, 250. That sounded a lot better than coming home after a 16-hour shift with 125, and I got to wait for 2 weeks to even get it. You know what I mean? A whole bunch of 125s or whatever. But
I get it.
So at the beginning, it was, like I said, I wouldn't say it was rough because I just didn't know that I was messing up. But then, I'd say probably like halfway through a year, maybe right at the beginning, towards the beginning of the second year, I stopped listening to music. I was listening to music, like the music I had grown up with. And I stopped listening to music and I started to really go deep into YouTube. And I came across Naylor Taliaferro, the LCR Media podcast. And he had this thing about route density. And I had never heard route density before. And he started to explain, like, if you're doing 12 yards a day, but you're driving all over the place, you're killing yourself. Basically was what he was saying. He was like, you need to do this, get 4 or 5 yards here and then turn around the corner. You got 4 or 5 yards there. And I was like, oh, you could do that. And then I started to look up route density on YouTube, and then you found all of the other people and they're saying, knock on the door of the 5 people around and do that. So I started to implement these things rather than, be cynical and why is Naylor, who the hell is he? How's he know? Why am I going to listen to him? I went out and I started to do some of those things and they started to work. You know what I mean? So year 2, once it started to work, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me go in and find all of the people who's teaching the business, because getting the work done, that's not going to be a problem for me. I got kids at home and I'm trying to create something. So being out there in the heat, that ain't ever going to be a problem. Making sure the jobs get done, that will never be a problem. But if I really want to learn how to make money, I got to learn the business side. You know, you got to learn how to talk to the customer, how to explain what they're doing, what you're going to do, and then follow through on what you're going to do. And which I could do that. That's the plays. The coach gives you the play, and then you follow the play. And if you execute it right, most times it'll work. That don't mean it's always going to work. Sometimes, you know, you'll slip on some sweat and you'll have a turnover. Well, that's just the customer saying no because they're going with someone else because you dropped the ball in that particular time. But I looked at it like every single time I'm going here, I'm going to a new basketball court, a new football field to, you know, go against a new team. And the team is getting them to say yes over no at the price that I need. That's the first 2 years. It was like going through the bumps and the bruises, so to speak. And then year 3, I had got my first commercial contract, and that's when I felt secure enough to quit one of the jobs. So now I was working one full-time job, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I was cutting grass. I decided that if I got in the business, Sunday would be off limits. Like I will never work a Sunday because if I have my own business, I can control that. So I decided I was never, ever going to work a Sunday. So I worked Wednesday through or Thursday through Saturday. And then we did that for 2 years. And then we had that commercial contract. We had done so well that the guy who was in charge of picking it was like this group home facility, and they had all of these different regions. The guy who was in charge of giving out those lawn care contracts, those first 2 years, he was very impressed with how I did, you know, first year going into second year. And like, I was striping up the yards. Like I care about being perfect. So I was striping everything up. And what I found out was he ended up leaving the company. But what he did was he took pictures of my work and the other company's work that was doing a different region. And he said to the new people that were going to take over that decision making role in the company, they should give me a shot at another region. So they did. And when they did that, things just sort of exploded. It was wild, bro. So it was just like I said, consistency over, you know, a 3-year period to show them that not only do I care about being better and everything, but I also care about the properties. You know what I mean? I want to make them look beautiful. So how did it feel when you finally got that opportunity in that commercial project to go into other properties that they had? How did it feel that they finally accepted it? Like, you know, Cornell's my guy. It was like a sense of validation. Yeah. I think like that I already knew it was the right decision. I mean, it would have took a lot longer to find some level of the success that we're having right now. But when they gave me that opportunity, it was just like, I knew it was the right decision. It validated all of the things that I felt in my heart whenever I started 6 years ago. Like, it was like, that's the championship. Like, that was my first NBA finals or something. You know what I mean? And now, you know, it's not just for me either. It's like whenever I went into that 4th year, I got that contract, or the 3rd year I got that contract, and I was like, how am I going to get all of this work done? Like it jumped on me so fast, I wasn't even expecting it. So how am I going to get this work done? And I had to sit a prayer one night. I was going over how to get employees, and I had a football game the next morning. And I was coming to this gate as one of the referees who I had played football with in the past. His name's Mack. I call him Captain Jack. And I had just talked to him. I said, "Hey man, you want to cut? What do you do during the week?" He's like, "I don't do nothing. What do you?" Wow. I said, "You want to come work and cut some grass with me?" He was like, "Yeah, I wanted to play football with you, but I'll come cut grass with you." And he also, like, that year, he just believed in the vision too. So it's like, now it wasn't just me, you know what I mean? It was me and my family. It was me and him. And then I started to see things happen for him as I started to grow. Not just personally, not just in the business, not just in the feeling of joy that I had. I got to be with someone else who was also getting to reap some of these benefits of doing a great job. And he gets to see firsthand and be with me every single day. So he gets what this talks with you and these other podcasts that I've been on, he gets it every single day. So he believed in the vision too. And he's like, yo, I can see where we're going to go. And as the business has grown, I've elevated him, and hopefully this next season that's coming up, he's going to take another jump, and we're just going to keep on trying to rock as hard as we can here.
It's incredible, especially when you get team members that are on board with a mission. That is so important, understanding their why and their mission, because when you bring that together, like you're doing now with your mission, your heart, being the light to the world, right, and spreading the word and getting out there and just helping people realize that they already have what they need inside them. They just have to believe it, right? What story are you telling yourself? We have that choice every single day to look at a situation, and we can be the victim or the victor. We can learn from it, or we can let it try to run us. Right. So we have that choice every day. And when you get people around you that get that and that are mission driven, like you're talking about, dude, you're going to be unstoppable, just absolutely unstoppable. Because when you sit down and measure out success, it's dollars have a portion of thought in that, but it's not that. It's moving humans, right? It's empowering, it's inspiring, it's seeing people come from, not the best upbringing to be able to do what they choose to do, and they put it in their heart to make it happen and to give their family the experience in life that you wanted as a child. And like, there's just so many levels to that. So I love that you're pushing like that, and you found somebody else in your arena, because that's going to double or triple your capacity, by having people helping you move through this. So that's just hats off to you, brother. I love it. Another sales nugget coming your way here. And today's topic is about saying no. That's right. The word no. So often in sales, we're so focused on being yes people, right? I'm a recovering people pleaser myself, and I said yes to everybody because I was afraid of conflict. I was afraid of telling them no, that I would get some kind of bad review, or they would, I don't know, try to punch me in the mouth. Who knows, right? So the point is that to say no is a very empowering thing, especially when you know that you aren't excited about a project, you aren't excited about a client, you aren't excited about something. There is an amazing good thing you're doing by saying no to them. And you don't just say no and walk away. You're going to give them what we call the graceful exit, where you say, no, you know what? I think you're going to be better served with an example here would be with a mason. I think that they're much more specialized in what you're looking for, and I wish you the very best on your journey. And give them the opportunity to move on. So if you say no, give them options. And then they'll move on and be like, you know what? That was great. This person came in. They told me they couldn't do it, but they pointed me in the right direction so I could find someone who could actually help provide the very best solution for me. So don't be afraid of the word no. No is a very, very powerful statement. And when you do it in the context of a graceful exit, it's going to help your client on their journey. And that's really the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, it's just fun. At the end of the day, like I said, you wake up in the morning and it's, you like who you work with, you like what you're going to go do. It's not a job anymore. You know what I mean? So we're out there, we're on, I call it grass cutting go-karts all day. It's fun. I mean, it's really fun. And I mean, also there's a lot of solitude when you're out there. You're just out there alone. So even though me and Captain Jack are driving around all day together, once that mower turns on, it's just you and your thoughts. And a lot of things can be solved just by changing how you think about things. So a lot of times I would be out there, especially on the long, hot days in the yard, and I would just be out there. Sometimes I'd be listening to a video and I just have some tears. I just start crying while I'm on the lawnmower. Not tears of pain or anything, but just joy. Like, I am so happy that I'm out here right now. This is the best feeling ever, is knowing that when I go home tonight, my little 3-year-old, when I come home, she's all happy to see me, right? And then she says, "What were you doing? I'm going to cut the grass with you when I get big, Dad." Like, she knows that that's what I do. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so when I'm out there and I think of things like that, I think to myself, what was I seeing whenever I was that age? I was all over the place, I didn't even have a choice. It was because I had young parents. They were learning how to become adults. But when you're a child, you just expect that because that's your mom or that's your dad, that they know, that they have it all together. And what I didn't realize was, like, if I had young parents, my mom was young. She wasn't even a full developed woman yet. Neither was my father. And I'm expecting them to give me things that they didn't have the capacity or ability to give me yet. But when I look at my daughter, I'm like, because I was able, they did give me something. They gave me experiences, and they gave me the ability to, now I can go back in the past and see, what was I like whenever I was 25, 26 years old? I probably wasn't the best human. I probably didn't have as much to offer to a kid as I do now, And so when my daughter and I come home and she says, Daddy cuts the grass, it makes me happy. She knows what I do. She knows that I'm working hard. She knows, like they know, my family knows. And the people that are around me know. So again, that just goes back into the joy again. You're looking for recognition and validation just for your being here on the earth. And when you have kids and you have family and you have people dependent on you, they validate it every day. And at least that's how I look at it.
So true, dude. So true. And, we work like crazy because we want to prove something to ourselves. We want to make sure that we don't fail. We want to make sure that we're always succeeding and growing and all that stuff. But what we have to be very, very careful of, and I've stumbled through this a few times in my life, where the work and the success of that becomes more important time-wise than the family. And pretty soon you're back to that, up at 7, back at 7 mentality. And you're like, but I can't let this thing, it's getting bigger, starting to consume me. And that's when your job becomes a jail cell, right? Your business, because if you don't have people working for you doing the work, then you have a job and, you own your job, but then that thing eventually takes over your life. And then you're not joyful anymore because you can't get away from it. You got bills to pay and all that. And then you feel guilty all day long because you're not spending time when your kids are off of school or whatever, family vacation time. I can't go, or we need to shorten it up because I got work to do, man. But to focus on the joy and the gratitude side of life and to live in that moment and in that feeling, there's nothing better. It keeps you fulfilled constantly and you make better decisions and you live a better life. And it's the perfect place to be for sure.
And it's really a choice. I mean, that's one of the things that I learned over the years. So when I stopped listening to music, like I stopped listening to the stuff I was listening to when I grew up. And like I said, I started to listen to successful people, and you hear how they think. They think differently. Like they don't think how much something costs. Or can they afford something? They think, how can they afford it? I heard Robert Kiyosaki say that. And then I came across this guy, Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. I always got to specify R-O-H-N because people think I'm talking about the sports person. But this Jim Rohn guy, when I heard him speak, he had these philosophies that was given to him by a man named Earl Schoaf. And these philosophies, because this Earl Schoaf guy hadn't even got past 9th grade, he said they're very elementary. Like they're very easy to hear. Yeah. And I started to hear these philosophies and I thought to myself, wow, that's a foundational thing. Everything that you do in your life is based off of the philosophies that you have. You could have a philosophy that says that things suck and that they're not going to work. And if that's the case, then they're not going to work. You're going to make them not work subconsciously on accident or by purpose, just because you've already said it's not going to work. That's right. And when I heard him say things like, you can have more than you got because you can become more than you are. Yes. And for things to change for you, you have to change and work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living, which is fine. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune, which is super fine. And that personal development part to me is a lot like making a choice. You make a choice to see the glass half full or half empty. Mm-hmm. And then however you see that will determine how you'll use it. If you see a glass and you say that glass is half full, then you'll be willing to share some. But if you see it and you say it's half empty, then you're going to try and keep it. And if you try and keep things, you'll never really reach your destiny, because you can never reach your destiny alone. You can't do this by yourself. You need help. You need people to be in your corner. You need people to cheer you on and to pick you up when you're feeling down. Like you need all of these different things. You need experiences, negative ones, so that you know how to appropriately deal with these things when they come in the future. And the coolest thing is when you listen to other people, you listen to speeches and you listen to the Outer Spaces podcast with Josh Gillow, you get to hear these experiences through other people. And then you can learn from them. And that's where ultimate wisdom can be gained. That's some of the things that I just learned over the course of years. It's like, And I've been doing it already. So to hear someone say it out loud who is very successful, like these mentalities, these philosophies were already inside of me. I just didn't know how to properly put them into words, and no one had ever said it so that I could hear it like that. And when I found him, he was saying the things that was already deep down ingrained inside of my heart and my soul. I had already believed all of these things, and he said them perfectly so that I could relate to him. And now he's dead. He's one of the people I wish that I could meet. But the impact that he's going to have, not just on me, but throughout the course of history for the rest of the world, is going to be immeasurable. And I realized, like, I heard him say one time, he said he heard people that talked and did speeches, and if he heard how they used something that was inside their heart and their soul, and they mixed that with words and music and put it in a way for someone's ears to hear, and that was the way that you could have the biggest impact on people. And he said he thought that if he could just do that, that would be the greatest feeling in the world. And when I started to make YouTube videos, and people commented on the one you're probably talking about, where I was talking about my first job and everything, people started to say that to me. Your story is amazing, and thank you for sharing, and don't stop making comments or content, and where can I get a hat and things of that. And I felt like that's the feeling he was talking about. And when I went to Equip Expo, people was coming up to me and wanting to shake my hand and say hi, and because they liked my story for some reason, the same way I guess I felt about Keith. And so hearing that, I was just like, this is the best feeling, is helping others. If you help other people, this is another one he got from Zig Ziglar. He said, if you haven't written it down, write it down. And I suggest if you have not written this down, you also should write this down if you're listening. And he says, you can have everything that you want. If you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything that you want.
100%.
Right. And so I looked at that and I said to myself, well, I'm helping at least 90 people get what they want. And this is just through cutting grass, and because I've helped them get what they want, the desired look for their yard or their shrubs or whatever, now we're able to do whatever we want, within reason. You know what I mean? But my wife needs TV. I just go get a TV on a Tuesday because I can go cut yards next week and we'll recoup that money back. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I go off on tangents all the time, Josh. So.
Brother, I could listen to this all day long. And I'm sitting here thinking, how does a grass cutter from Western Pennsylvania have such a deep understanding of this? Because I've interviewed a lot of people on the podcast, and some get it, some don't get it when it comes to these deeper fundamental things like, Jim Rohn. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins, and a lot of his stuff came from Jim Rohn. That was his teacher. And to hear you saying it in such an eloquent way, when did you, on your journey, when did you finally start feeling that unlocking of his words? And like, when did this all start to click for you? And you started to realize that you're in control of your destiny, that everything comes from inside of you, that you're already enough. When did that start for you?
I think on the first job. My first job, I had a broken foot. I had a walking boot on that I had contractor bags wrapped around. I had my younger brother out there helping me. I had terrible equipment, but we did 2 jobs in 3 hours. I paid him $60, $20 an hour, and I didn't know my numbers or anything, but I had 190 in my pocket, and that's kind of what I said in the video. And I went home like that day. I knew. I was like, this is it. Keith wasn't lying. You can do this. I can do this. And I'm going to do this now. Like, so soon as that happened, I knew immediately. It was the very first job, and it just spiraled from there.
Got it. And how have you been working to keep that? Because, mindset is amazing. Once you discover it, you can't unsee it. You can't unfeel it. You can't anything with it. It becomes this insatiable appetite for more information. Like, how can I continue to grow? At least that's how my journey's been. So tell me about how you're working daily, weekly, monthly to build that, because your business is only going to grow as strong as the leader's mindset. So tell me how you're working on your mindset to keep it growing.
I mean, I listen to information. all day, every day. And I try to listen to all information and then make decisions based off of the information, how it best suits myself. And that starts with like every day I wake up, and when I take a shower, I listen to something that is inspirational, something that is going to help uplift my like how I feel that day. You might wake up and you had a dream about whatever and didn't make you feel good, and you get in the shower, you throw on a Les Brown video and you just listen.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You go through, you're in the shower. I mean, most people are in the shower all by themselves. And that's another place where you can just get your mind right. So if you take a shower, you listen to a 10-minute uplifting, inspirational, motivational video, already you've started off good mojo for the day. Now, if you got everything ready to go and you wake up on time because you know you're ready to get out there and rip and run, it just continues that feeling that you have. And then when you get to the first house, it doesn't look as good as it did last week. When you leave, it looks great again. And that just keeps like adding to it. So everything that I see, I try and make a choice to be inspired or fascinated by it in some way. And that helps me. If it's something negative, I don't want to hear it. Not that we shouldn't listen to negative things, but I mean, things that you can control. If you can't control it, why waste brain space on it? Time is too short. So when people complain to me about things that they can't control, like if you want to tell me about your whatever, something that you cannot control, I don't want to hear it. And I cut those conversations off short because I realized like I'll be 40 years old next year, and almost half of my life is pretty much gone. And before I leave, I want to do valuable things for the world. Focusing on negative things got me nowhere for the first 33 years of my life.
Amen,
soon as I started to focus on only the positive things, soon as I started to take negative music and negative relationships, like choose your relationships like wisely. Choose people that when you give something to them, they give something back to you at some point. They fill your cup back up. They don't just drink from your cup.
Yep. You
know what I mean? And so I started to eliminate people who were just taking from my cup and not trying to fill the cup back up. And like all these little things led to me being able to wake up in the morning and choose how to look at something. And I try to never, like I said, I either learn or I get better. Mm-hmm. And that's the mentality. And if you take that mentality, everything will work out for you in the end, because you'll learn something and you'll be like, all right, I was in this relationship and, this person didn't do anything. They didn't want to have a job or anything. Well, I've seen what those signs are. So now when it comes to the next person that I get into a relationship with, if that sign shows up early, I'm going to cut bait and move on, because there's not enough time to wait for someone, who's going to be an anchor on the ship that you're trying to sail to prosperity and to, your ultimate destiny and what you desire to have. So I cut all of those anchors off. I cut all of the bad music off. I stopped listening to Sword and Scale, like all of the murder, true crime stuff, because again, that gives you another avenue of, oh man, that happened to someone. So now I'm not going to trust when I meet someone, like, nah, I don't want to have no bad mojo.
Perpetuates.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true, dude. You become what you surround yourself with, people and influences and all that. So to the listeners out there, I challenge you, from Cornell's speech here, I challenge you to, if you listen to a lot of music in a day, cut it in half. Still listen to some music. Be careful of what you're putting into your head, because all those lyrics do dig into your subconscious, especially if they're negative. If they're positive, they do as well, but in a positive way. But I challenge you to take half of your time you listen to music and listen to a podcast. You're already obviously listening to a podcast, but get a book, an Audible book. Go to YouTube, listen to somebody speak about something motivational. You'd be surprised if you just commit to 10 days, 20 days of that, just having it. Half of the time now you're going to do that. I'm telling you, everything starts to change. You start to think differently. You start to rewire your mind with possibility. And then once you start thinking that, or listening to people that are just like you, that decided, to Cornell's thing here. It's a choice, decided to get rid of the negativity in their life and the music. That's a simple choice. You don't have to get rid of relatives that way. That's a simple choice, right? Now, and then you're also saying, okay, well, I'm going to start looking at my business differently. I'm going to start looking at my life differently, and who's serving it and who's not serving, right? And what's serving and what's not. So I challenge you to just flip it over and say, look, in half and see what happens. 10 days, start 10 days and let us know how it works, because I know it's going to change your life. It did me. And I know Cornell has the same story. So I'm telling you right now that there's always, success leaves clues. And this is a very big clue. So I want to transition into what's next for Cornell. What's next on your list? What's the big dream? What are you going after?
I want to continue to help people, man. I think right now the best way to do that is just to share experiences on different platforms, may it be mine or my YouTube channel, or, you know, just through conversation, through meeting people at social events, or just meeting someone at a gas station. If I can help people in the future, this might be a little dark and grim, but, you know, I realize that one day death will be upon me. And I've been to a lot of funerals lately. The older I get, it's like more people are starting to pass away for whatever reason. And so you learn a lot about the impact people have had on other people's lives at a funeral. If some funerals have very few people, and that means that person maybe didn't come in contact with a lot of people, or she rubbed people the wrong way. And whenever I was at my grandmother's funeral when I was younger, the funeral procession was like miles long. Yeah. And whenever I die, I want my family to know that I tried to help people. And I want people in the world to have some sort of piece of me, some sort of way that is helping their life, you know, that they can go back and they could say, you know, I heard that dude talk one time and how he looked at something, I adopted that philosophy. Like, I adopted a lot of Jim Rohn's philosophies and they've changed my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? So even if it's just perpetuating the things that he has said that have helped me in my way to help someone else, that's what I would like for the future as a person. As for my business, I want to maybe get up to 2 crews and really be able to help the people who work with me to make their dreams come true as well. I realized I worked at a lot of jobs in my life, and I wouldn't say that I didn't believe in the job's missions, because I did, but I did realize that was helping someone else's dream. And I'm okay with that. But I had dreams too. And the people that work with me, I don't just want them to help me reach my dream. I would like to help them reach their dream. So if that's people just interning with me for a year or two so that they could go start their own business and change their family's life, that's what I would like to do. So that's amazing. I mean, I guess just help people in some sort of way.
So Cornell, I'm going to throw something at you, a curveball here. Something my first coach threw at me, and it really helped me galvanize my direction in life. So my belief, and I believe we're similar in this, when God's ready, he's going to pull our tickets and we're ready to go to the next level, right? That's just what it is. Like, we don't have a choice in that. There obviously have some commonsensical choices there, but the reality is when our time is time, and it is. What do you want your family, just say it's your funeral and your family walks up to the front of the church and says a eulogy about you and your life and what it meant to them? What do you want them to say? What do you want your life to have meant?
I want them to say that my dad, my husband, my brother, my cousin inspired me to be my best self, and that he lived his life trying to be his best self to serve as an example to me, so that I would know what it looked like when someone was out there doing what they truly love to do and being who they truly love to be. I just hope that the people at my funeral, I hope that they understand that any conversations that I had in the past wasn't me trying to say that I know everything, because I don't. It was trying to give them a piece of me so that they could see the world how I see the world, and then be able to use how I see the world to help them see the world in a positive way. because I truly believe if you look at the world and you see the beauty of it, it's hard to be negative. And if you're negative, it's hard to be successful. And if you're not successful, like I said, success does not mean money. Success just means I'm doing what I want to do. You know what I mean? And I'm doing it because I love to do it, not because I have to do it, not because it's required of me, but just because you like to do it. And if you could find that thing, I hope that they say that, you know, that Cornell found his way. And because he found his way, he shared with me something that helped me find my way. That's what I would hope they say.
That's powerful, brother. And I believe you are on that journey. Absolutely. And you'll have exactly that when that parking lot is full and there's miles and miles and miles of people that are coming to say thank you. It's not about popularity. It's about saying thank you because, you know, there's times in our life, especially when we're just feeling vulnerable and very, you know, like we're going to fail and everything's going to fall apart, especially owning a business. It's like there's some days you feel like you've got one foot on a banana peel and the other one off the edge, right? And you just, it's one sneeze away and it's over, right? It seems like that so often. And to persevere and to push through because you've got this bigger belief in yourself and in your mission that you can get through just about anything. So, and that belief is what so many people lack. And they just need guidance. They need someone like yourself that is doing it that they can look up to. So brother, hats off to you for your mission and what you're doing for the world. And I can't wait to watch you as you move through this journey and how you impact people's lives, man. I love it. Absolutely love it. So if people want to reach out to you, Cornell, what's the best way for them to do that?
Instagram. My tag is Mack_landscaping 412. I also have a YouTube channel. It's called Mack Landscaping and Lawn Care on YouTube. So go subscribe to that. And we just launched a podcast. Me and my friend Cedric with Steel Cuts Lawn and Landscaping. It's called the Lawn Care Power Moves Podcast with Mack and Steel. We drop shows every Monday. We just dropped our second show this past Monday. And let's see, we also do an Instagram live show on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you are interested in being interviewed on there, you can DM me or you can just join the show and we just bring people in live. We like to just have different people on that can share their experiences too on a live forum. Like, so you can just ask a question right there. We all listen to podcasts and everything, but you can't just ask Josh a question about the person who's talking right now. Yeah. And so we've had people on like Brian Fullerton, Corey Ballard, Seth the Lawn Surgeon, Alex Kirby with Trifecta Landscaping. We had some really heavy hitters come on that Instagram live show. So, I mean, if you're interested in talking to people and learning, like I said, live, come and join us on Instagram Live, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can follow my page or Cedric's page, and you'll see that live icon. And come on, man, let's have some fun.
Awesome, man. No, I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing to the world and helping out. And I love that you found your mission, brother. There's nothing better in life than getting up every day saying thank you, God, for one more day, just to go out and help and impact as many lives as you can, man. That is something that never gets old. You know what I mean? It never gets old. But any last little tidbits or something you want to leave our audience before we wrap up?
I mean, your dreams are possible. Every dream that you ever had in your life, it is possible. All it takes is hard work, consistency, a good network of people. And the craziest thing is as it pertains to the network of people, is most people want to help you. You just got to reach out and not be scared. It literally changed my life just asking questions in the DMs on Instagram. So, if I've said something that you want me to expound, to talk more about, hit me on Instagram. But yeah, man, follow your dreams because life is too short to not do that. What the hell else you going to do except try and live your dream, whatever that is. So I wish you nothing but success in life, prosperity, enlightenment, and let's live heaven on earth. That's my motto. Live heaven on earth, man. It's supposed to be beautiful down here, and it is. You just got to see it that way.
Man, I'm not going to say anything more than that. We're going to go from there. So, everyone, hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I sure did. Thank you, Cornell, and we'll see you next week.